what I'm feeling today has been brewing there for weeks, and I have done every single thing that is possible to try and keep those feelings away.
Yeah.
Except drinking. I don't drink anymore, but I have eaten all the wrong things. I have smoked an amazing amount of, chuffed myself to death, and it just finally did not want to stay in today. So I've luckily got a day off today, so I've just let it all out.
Good.
Because I couldn't hold it down anymore.
And have you been tapping at the same time, Carol?
No, because I already had enough that was going on, so was a bit scared to do it, actually.
Okay. Well, just understand when you tap, when all of that's going on, you actually move through it much faster. It's a lot less painful. Okay, so we can hold off on the tapping because we're scared that we won't be able to cope with what's coming up. But by not tapping, we're actually keeping ourselves in it in reality. And there is,
but I kind of knew that I had tonight, so I kind of let it go today because I knew I had tonight.
Okay.
I thought, well, yeah, that was kind of my thinking, was that at least I would have your supervision.
Okay.
Because you know what I'm like.
Yes. Okay, very good, Carol. So does anyone else resonate with any of this that I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can resonate with it, yeah.
Yep, very good, Anita. So anyone else? No? That's okay. So let's move on. So whenever the unwanted cycle occurs, there's a part of ourselves that we're avoiding looking at. And it's just like Carol said just a moment ago. There's a part of herself or her perception of herself, because it's not necessarily who we are, but it's who we perceive ourselves to be, that we don't want to look at. And that often is relative to things that have happened in the past. We've taken on perceptions about ourselves that we unconsciously believe to be true or correct, when in reality, most of the experiences that we have in life are coloured by our environment. So they're not necessarily, they can appear to be real, but they can actually be giving us the wrong impression based on whatever's going on in our environment around us. So I like this quote, never be afraid to fall apart because it is an opportunity to rebuild yourself the way you wish you had been all along. So what we're doing with these sessions is giving you the opportunity to rebuild yourself the way you want to be. Now, that doesn't have to be in relation to weight. It doesn't have to be in relation to any of the things I talk about. I just mention those because they're the most common ones that we come across through our clinic. But there's a lot of rebuilding that can happen in your own self-esteem, your own self-awareness, your own, belief in yourself, your confidence. So it takes courage to look within and acknowledge what we're feeling and allow those uncomfortable feelings to come up. So congratulations, Carol, for allowing those feelings to come up. And there's a lot of power in that. The experience that happened in our lives that set up those bad feelings happened at a time in our lives and we had no way of processing them or even understanding them quite often. Okay. And the fact that they're still causing challenges for us emotionally and still causing limitations in our lives shows us that we weren't able to process them in order and be able to release them and let them go. So what this is all about is helping you use the tools and become freer within yourself, being able to let go of a lot of this baggage that we've taken on. We just believe that we're in some way at fault. There must be something wrong with us, especially if the source of our pain was coming from a perceived authority figure in our lives. So who can relate to you don't have to share examples, but who can relate to a perceived authority figure putting limiting beliefs on yourself?
Yes.
Carol, you can? Anyone else?
Yep.
Yep. I can certainly relate to that myself.
Yep.
Peter, great. Yep. So just for my own personal example, I'll just share a little bit. You know, when I was in grade 2 in primary school, and my parents had moved around a lot with my dad's work, and I think I'd been to 5 different schools by the time I got, no, 4 different schools by the time I got to grade 2. So that was my introduction to school. So I never got a chance to build any friendships. And I was already a shy kid to start with, so that made it 10 times worse. And then when we got to my 4th new school, and my first day in the classroom, because I was not there at the beginning of the year, it was part of the way through the year, the teacher gave us this little maths quiz. It was just testing where everyone was at, and the girl that I happened to be sitting next to, which I didn't know, asked me for one of my answers, and I gave them to her because I was just looking to make friends, and my answer happened to be wrong. So the teacher then accused me of cheating off her and pulled me out into the class and belittled me, said I was a liar and a cheat. So that was my introduction. So from that day on, I would not put my hand up in a classroom. I was always looking to hide in the back of the classroom, never be noticed. And that's, you know, that was my introduction. So, you know, so we can say, you know, a lot of people can say, look, you know, I haven't had any trauma in my life. And, you know, me looking back as an adult doesn't think that that was trauma. But with the awareness of what trauma actually is, I can see that it actually was trauma. It was trauma to the little, you know, 7-year-old that I was at that time. So there's lots of little things that we don't necessarily recognize that there's trauma there that we're holding on to, and it can be putting those limitations on our lives. It can be stopping us from being all that we can be. So that's just one tiny example of things that can hold us back. So the road to freedom is not just acknowledging these feelings, but learning how to release them and let them go. Then part of that is learning how to construct a new belief system that supports you achieving whatever your goals are. So, you know, we can take on all these limiting beliefs, but as we release them, we've got to replace them with something else. Why not replace them with something that makes us feel good? Something that's going to help us achieve whatever it is that we want to achieve in our lives. So what we're going to do now is actually do some tapping. So I want you to tune in to one of your sabotage moments. So if you look at sabotage moments, it could, you know, this is relative to you. It depends on what you want to achieve in life and what are the areas in your life where you find yourself not doing the things that you know will actually help you achieve what you want to achieve. That's what I call a sabotage moment. So I want you to just think about that for yourself. And when you've all found something that you would like to do some tapping around, don't think it's anything too huge while we're doing it as a group session. I'm happy to work with people individually online if need be, if there's big stuff that's there that needs to be dealt with. So when you've found something that you want to work with, just raise your hand on the side there. Great. Anita, Carol, Venice, Fiona and Susan, have you found something? It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to share it with us. Thank you, Fiona. Great, great. So, you know, you can share as much or as little or as much as you want through this. But we all learn from each other. So to stop the sabotaging behaviour, we must give up the war on with ourselves. So there's often a battle going on. So we hear a lot of people talk about, you know, the voices in their head, and that doesn't mean you're schizophrenic. It just means that we all have this busyness in our heads, especially with our modern lives. And a lot of that busyness can be our own voice placing limitations or even being quite negative towards ourselves. You may feel some fear or anxiety about letting go of that addictive behaviour, but this really is just the fear of facing yourself. I really want to help people become much more aware of how they can change this cycle. So stop and allow yourself the space to feel your feelings. Now, this is another way that you could use this in your life from a day-to-day basis. You know, it might be, you know, the self-sabotaging behaviour might be reaching for a cigarette, or it might be, what's your favourite sweet, Carol?
Oh, vanilla slice.
Vanilla slice, that's right. Reaching for the vanilla slice. It could be, you know, whatever it is for you. Okay. So you could stop and allow yourself to think about, tune into that moment when you felt that strong desire or urge to go and have whatever it is. And then this is where you stop, feel, tap. You stop yourself, notice what you're feeling. Just really tune into yourself. Notice the feeling, you know, it could be a feeling in your stomach or your throat or your chest, or it might be in some other part of your body. The most common ones is throat, stomach, and chest. And so notice the feeling that's there. It could be a tension in your shoulders, you know, it can be anywhere. Notice the emotion that's there, notice the physical feeling, and put a rating on it on a scale of 0 to 10. You always put a rating on it because you want to know that what you're doing is actually working. So once you put that rating on it, you also write down what those feelings are, the physical and the emotional feelings that have come up for you. So just notice what they are. I'm just going to grab a little example to share with you. So if you can just write down those feelings for me now. And put a rating on those feelings. And just touch that hand symbol again and it'll drop down when you're ready. Know that you've actually completed that. Great. Very good. Thank you. So I'm just going to share a lady that I worked with this week who's doing weight loss with me. And so we're just doing it online. But she'd noticed that over the Christmas break, she was having a bit of problem because she had time off, that she was looking to do some boredom eating. So we just started tapping around that and the feelings that were coming up in relation to that. And boredom was the emotion. And the feeling was in the stomach. So the rating on it was on a scale of 8 out of 10. And after one round of tapping, the awareness came up that what was there was more the urge to put something in her mouth because she used to be a smoker. So we had a chat about that and did some tapping around that. So so after the first round, it came down to a 2. And after the second round, it dropped to a 0. So it just shows you, you know, it doesn't have to be a big trauma that's there. It can just be an old wiring that just keeps getting fired. Old mechanism that's been there for a long time. So just notice the feelings. You've got them written down and you've done your intensity rating. Now we're going to start tapping. As you tap, you may notice old memories coming up. They are clues with where to tap next. So what we generally do, what I do when I'm working with clients, is keep tapping. You know, we do one round, we reassess the intensity level on a scale of 0 to 10 and see what sort of change we've had happen. Often after that first round of tapping, you may notice that the emotional charge or the physical feeling has actually changed. So as it did with this other lady, it had gone from an 8 to a 2 in one round. But the whole feeling had shifted. So when it changes, that becomes the part of your next wording. So even though, you know, it feels like I need to put something in my mouth, use my hands in my mouth. So it could be something as simple as that. So if you can just for a moment, each of you just write down, you know, a statement that you're going to use, your beginning statement. So what we use is even though, and then the next part of the statement, I feel, and whatever those feelings are for you. So we're going to be all muted to do this so that nobody can hear what you're saying because this is relative just to you. So you do that round of tapping. So if I have this feeling, and then the second part of the statement is how you want to feel. So if you think about how you want to feel, so Carol, you're quite comfortable with all of this. You want to share a little bit about the feelings that only if you want to. You want to share a little feeling?
I have massive disappointment about a string of things, actually.
Okay.
I won't go into individual ones, but it's a very long line of disappointment. And it's been brewing for a few weeks, mainly over one of the bigger ones. But because I've had all these other little ones as well, it's just really... So my feeling about that is more than 10.
Okay, great. And where do you feel that sits in your body, Carol?
It's in my stomach, my chest, my throat and my head.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're just using that to help everyone else on the call because not everyone's been doing the EFT, just to get an idea of how to use it. Thank you, Carol. So if you didn't have that feeling there, how would you want to feel? What would be the second part of your statement?
I would want to feel joyful because everybody met my very small expectations, because I've always when you were talking about beliefs before, my old belief is that I always expect too much. And I don't have very high expectations. It's just that I keep getting disappointed by things that shouldn't be disappointing. It's just that they're not living up to what they should be or what they may get they're going to.
Okay. So taking out the expectation, Carol. So one of the, so just in relation to what you're talking about, and I'll just share this because it's something I use all the time in clinic, is the Chinese, one of the Tibetan Buddhist sayings is that the cause of all suffering is craving. When we crave for somebody else's behaviour to change, to be other than what it is, we set up our own suffering. So part of it is for you to be able to just let go of having expectations of these people. So when you let go of those expectations, you can feel joy. It doesn't matter what they do.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So part of it is for you to let go and be happy anyway.
Yes.
Okay, so that could be the second part of your statement. Is anyone else having any difficulties with what to say, whether it's the negative side or the positive side? Just, this is all about learning, so go ahead. No?
I'm good, Wendy, thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, so just have the statement written down, and when I start working with it, I go into more intuitive. So I just start with whatever the feeling is, and I'm just going to use even though I have this problem, and you're going to, with all the lines muted, you're free to say whatever it is your feeling is. And then I'll use more of a global statement. I choose to let this go. I choose to feel good about myself. Because generally, we don't feel that good. Okay. So I'll just mute all the lines. Is there any other questions before we go and do that? No? Great.
No.
Okay. All right. So even though, so just what we're going to do, I'll just go to the next slide, which shows all the tapping points. So it's tapping on the outside edge of your hand. You can see it just underneath the wrist there, outside edge of your hand, just the base of the little fingers. Just tapping with the other hand. And it really doesn't matter which side you tap on with the points. And just repeat your statement. Even though I have this problem, I really want to be able to let it go. Now we do this 3 times. Even though I have this problem, I'm open to the possibility that I could just let it go and be happy anyway. Even though I have this problem, I choose to relax and just let it all go. Now we go up to the eyebrow point, the beginning of the eyebrow above the bridge of the nose. And we just use a reminder phrase here, which is more about the problem. So this problem, and you're going to substitute that with your own wording. Going to the outside edge of your eye, this problem. Going to underneath your eye, this problem. I wonder what would happen if I just let it go, if I let go of all those expectations. Maybe I could be happy. Going to under your nose, this problem. If you could let it go, would you let it go? And just answer that inside. How's hanging on to it working for you? And just answer that internally as well. Going to under your lips, this problem. If you could let it go, would you let it go? Going down to just under the collarbone, this problem. I choose to let it all go. Going down to under your arms, I choose to let it all go. And just notice your feelings now. Notice how strong those feelings are. I've just unmuted all the lines. And just, if you just unmute your line, I just want to check and see how everyone went. You may have got a shift, you may not have got a shift, and it's all okay. So Anita, did you notice a difference afterwards, after that one round of tapping?
Yes, I think I went from an 8 to a 6.
That's great. That's great. So just notice, tune back into it, Anita, and just notice, has the feeling changed, as in, is the emotion changed, or is the physical aspect different? And just note whatever changes there are. Great. All right. So, Carol, how did you go?
Oh, mine probably went from a 10 to a 6.
Great. Very good. And was there a shift in your feelings?
Yeah, it's just more like sadness now.
Okay, great. Great. So Fiona, if you could just unmute your line from your end. How did you go? Did you notice a difference? You're right, Fiona, we can't hear you. That's okay. All right, we'll just move on to Glenys. So if you noticed a difference, Fiona, just raise your hand. Maybe there's something wrong with the mic. Great, very good. Glenys, how did you go?
From a 10 to a 6, Wendy.
Very, very good. So just tune in, notice whatever feelings are there. Has there been a change in those feelings? I know there's been a drop in intensity, but have they actually shifted in some way to a different feeling? Okay, Susan, how did you go?
My level of distress with this particular issue for me dropped from an 8 to a 5, Wendy.
Very, very good. Very good. Okay, so what you do then is, you've shown that what you're working on is shiftable with the EFT. So now just get really specific with what the next layer is. And just notice if there's any other feelings, any other memories coming up, there's a link between them as to why that memory is coming up while you're tuned into whatever the problem is. So then, as you notice that, it's like the other lady recognizing that needing to put something in her mouth with her fingers whenever she's bored is the old pattern of using a cigarette. So there can be a memory there that is linked to whatever you're experiencing. So let's do another round. So just reassess, write down your new feelings, whatever they are, you've got your new measurement, and let's do another round of tapping. So just tapping on the outside edge of your hand, even though I have this remaining feeling, whatever it is for you, I'm open to the possibility that I could let it all go. It's okay for me to feel good about myself. Even though I have this remaining feeling, I choose to let it go and love and accept myself. You don't necessarily have to do 3 times at this point now. Going up to the eyebrow point, this remaining feeling, I'm open to letting it all go. Going to the outside edge of your eye, this remaining feeling, I choose to let it go. Going to under your eye, this remaining feeling, it's okay for me to feel good about myself. Going to under your nose, this remaining feeling. So if what you're holding on is relative to what somebody else has said that has upset you, just understand that whatever somebody else has said is actually coming from inside of them. It's their stuff. And you don't have to take it on board. They're actually showing you their own insecurities in that moment. Going to under your lips, this remaining feeling, I choose to let it go. Going down to your collarbone point, this remaining feeling, I choose to let it all go. going to under your arm, this remaining feeling. I choose to let it all go and feel good about myself. Now you can use other positive words there, more relevant to what it is that you're working on. So always look to bring in words. The positive words are basically the opposite of what the negative feeling is. Okay, so just unmute your lines again and just let me know, has it shifted again?
Yeah, mine's probably shifted from a 6 to a 3 now.
Awesome. Great. So it's falling faster now, Anita. So it started to crumble. Okay, so you just keep going. So when we get off the call tonight, do a bit more.
Yep.
It won't take much to get rid of that one.
Right.
Okay, you can tune into anything, and it doesn't matter how long ago it happened. It could have been today at work, or it could have been 10, 20 years ago. It really doesn't matter, because the moment you close your eyes and tune into whatever that feeling, whatever that experience was, the feelings are there, and they have the same level of intensity. So this is one of the amazing things about EFT is you can clear up stuff. It doesn't matter how old it is. So Carol, how did you go?
Mine probably went from 6 to about a 2 or 3.
Excellent.
I had a couple of deep breaths, so it doesn't feel as heavy now.
Yep. So those deep breaths or sighs are often a sign that the energy is shifting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the clearing that's happening. Excellent. Fiona, are you able to speak? Maybe not. No. Okay. I'm assuming that means you've got to change. Perhaps if you want to send me an email through the week to just let me know what's happening, whether it's something that we can fix for you. So Glenys, how did you go?
A 6 to a 2, Wendy.
Excellent. Excellent. Well done. And Susan, how did you go?
Mine's dropped to a 4, Wendy, and I've had a couple of like aha moments in that
Excellent.
tapping sequence. So I've got more work to do tonight.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, so don't go to bed on a problem. Get rid of it really quickly, because doing it yourself, you could clear it up just within minutes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so then you can go to bed with that really lovely positive feeling. Rather than knowing that there's something that's unfinished. Okay, so well done, all of you. So I'll leave the remainder of that for you to tap through. Just know that the more comfortable you get with using EFT and following this process, the more in tune you will become with yourself and with others. And actually, the more forgiving you become, the more passionate, the more accepting you become of yourself and others. Because when we understand that everyone else's behaviour is based on whatever baggage they're carrying around with them, it means that we don't have to take it all personally. Doesn't mean it's right what some people have done, but we don't have to keep carrying it around with us. Okay, so any questions with regards to that whole process? Does anyone want any more clarification on anything there?
No.
No? All good?
No, thanks.
Okay, great. Now, I've got one other slide that I'm going to share with you, and it's not necessarily relevant for everyone on this webinar tonight, but it's something that more research that I've been doing and putting stuff together. So I just want to put in here some food facts, because so much of what we do is helping people to break the cycle of food addiction. And one of the biggest challenges with food addiction is that we're eating processed foods. So how do they make cocaine? They take the essence of the cocaine leaf, I'm not sure how you spell that, and refine and purify it into a white powder. Coca leaves are not hugely addictive on their own, but in the refined form, cocaine powder is highly addictive. How do they make heroin? Basically in the same way, except they use poppy seeds. They take its essence and refine and purify it into a white or brown powder. How do they make sugar? They do the same thing. They take the juice of the sugarcane plant and refine and purify it into a white powder. And the more they refine and purify something, the more addictive it becomes. How do they make flour? Now, a number of plants can be used. They can simply take the inner essence of any grain or legume and refine and purify it into a white or brown powder. Now, the foods that cause cravings are not in their original out-of-the-ground form. They are fine powders manufactured by the food industry. And as Michael Pollan puts it, they're not really foods anymore at all, but rather edible food-like substances. So our obesity epidemic is actually very, very much correlates with what we've done to our food source. By refining and processing our foods, we have denatured it and we've made it into something that causes a lot of problems. Edible food-like substances made out of sugar and flour, so you're combining two of those highly processed, I can't call them foods anymore, and they release an unnatural flood of dopamine that hijacks the pleasure centers of the brain, the ventral tegmental area and the nucleus accumbens, and cause cravings. So another one that's I've been reading about today is the artificial sweeteners. Now, a lot of people think that they're actually doing the right thing by their body, or that it's less fattening to consume artificial sweeteners, when in reality, the artificial sweetener actually throws the whole balance of how we use sugar out. And so because we still get the taste of sugar, but we don't get the calories. So it basically hijacks your regulatory mechanisms. And what happens is whenever we have anything that contains sugar, we then consume a lot more of it. The other thing that it does is whenever we have, you look at kids and you give them something that contains a fair amount of sugar and they go crazy, don't they? They go hyper. And that's the body's mechanism for trying to burn off those excess calories. But as we get older, that mechanism becomes more faulty and we can become very lethargic. There was a really good experiment that was done with mice, and they fed mice, two groups of mice. One group they gave yogurt with sugar in it, the other group they gave yogurt with saccharin in. And what happened was the mice with the saccharin grew hugely obese. They could not leave the food alone, because artificial sweeteners actually create more cravings and cause us to want to keep eating. So we can eat enormous quantities and never get the recognition that we're actually full. So I just thought I'd share that with you, because I'm always looking for other ways to empower people with regards when it comes to weight loss. So stay away from anything that's refined is the big tip. Anything that's refined or artificial, just avoid it. Go with what nature intended us to consume. Okay,
Yes.
so does anyone...
I was just going to say, frozen pineapple's a really good lolly.
It is. It is. Well, fruit in itself is actually a really good sweet.
Oh.
And it doesn't have the negative impact that sugar and aspartame or saccharin have. It's not addictive. Okay, so would anybody like to share anything from this evening's webinar, or share any of the aha moments that they've experienced? You don't have to. It's quite okay if you don't want to. That's okay. Well, I'd like to thank you all for being on here tonight. I really appreciate your input and I appreciate you showing up. Just remember that all of these webinars are actually recorded and they're put into the archives on the online support page. So if you want to look at anything since this has been running, they're all titled and you can look back and go through whatever you like. From time to time, I'll add in some additional resources, which I'm planning to be able to do more of now that I'm working more from home. So any questions about anything at all? It doesn't have to relate to tonight. Anything you'd like to know more of, please just let me know. If you need to at any time, you're welcome to email me on wendy@hefc.com.au. Any other questions?
Oh, Wendy, I've got one.
Yeah.
With the tapping that I've been doing, particularly since starting this course, there are times when I'm going through the process that I just keep yawning. Is that a way of emotion being released instead of, say, sighing?
Yes, yes. Yawning is the energy shifting in your body. Well done, Susan. It's like Carol said, it can be yawning, it can be a sigh. I yawn hugely whenever I'm doing any emotional clearing on myself. Anyone think I was about to fall off the chair? Good question, Susan.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All good. Okay. Well, thank you all for being on here. I just want to bring up one other topic. I'm looking at changing the date and the time, the day and the time that we run these webinars. So we're looking at it being a Saturday afternoon at 1:30. I'm just wanting to put that out there. It's not going to happen yet. It's just going to be easier for myself to manage. So I'd be happy to have some feedback on that. So please just email me if you have any feedback.
I can say straight up that probably won't suit me. I work Saturdays.
Okay. All right. So anyone else, just let me know. I'll see what we can do, Carol.
I might just have to blank out that space every fortnight or something.
Yeah,
but I'll kind of
maybe you can make that your hour for lunch.
Yeah. Yes.
Give yourself a lunch break every fortnight.
Yes.
You're going to lose weight if you only have a fortnight. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for being on here tonight. And I'll look forward to catching up with you in 2 weeks' time. So we'll still be on a Thursday in a fortnight. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Night,
Wendy.
ladies. Thanks, Wendy.
Good night, ladies.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.